Okay, we got 2 slides here for post-processing tips. So a lot of time, not a lot of times, but a lot of users, they may run into a situation. If you're new, you may run into cases where all of a sudden your post processor is no longer listed in your selected post dialog, or it's not listed up here under the machining job. You're not sure where it went, why it did that. We're going to tell you how to fix that and deal with it, and how to make it so it won't disappear again on you. We're also going to look at some, there's a post-processor tab on the CAM preferences dialog. We'll show you that and talk about some of these when we do the demo. Also, output control. We talked about arc fitting, and you can use this to turn on or off your arc fitting. If your CNC machine doesn't support arcs, you can turn the arc fitting off and output linear motions. Or there's a number of things here too. You can also output spirals as linear motions. You can output your drill cycles as linear motions. If your CNC machine does not support what's called canned cycles, canned meaning that there's predefined drilling operations in your controller. So we can call those when we G-code a drilling operation, for example. We can tell it the code, and it's just one line of code that has all of the information needed to drill that hole. Well, your machine has a built-in CAN cycle that understands what the codes are for CAN cycles. If your machine doesn't, you can convert your drilling to linear motions, where it's just straight point-to-point, simulating the same drilling operation, but just using G-code coordinate motions to do that. Over here, we also have some user interface parameters that can affect post-processing, and we'll go over those as well. Hold on just a second. Post-processing. Okay. Here's something that can happen to you if your post, let's say you just upgraded to a new version. Typically, this may happen, if you will, from 21 to 22 or 22 to 23 or whatever. If you load a file and you see that your post is missing, or it defaults to the first post up here, this post is the first post. So if you see that, then you'll know that it didn't find your post, and it just popped up the first post that was in the list. What you can do in that case, so that doesn't ever happen again, is just open a new file, okay, and then go up and set to post, locate your post, set it to what it needs to be. I'm just going to pick one, okay, and pick OK. And then go up in your, excuse me, in your CAM preferences. And if you look at user interface, what you can do is let's uncheck this for a second. So you set your post the way the post that you want to use. Pick this button, save current preferences to your registry. That'll save those preferences to your registry, so that when you open another file, that post will be called up again. Another thing you can do is to set not only your post, but whatever preferences you want to use in your file. Or you may have a sample toolpath, or here that you can. You may have a number of samples that you have your defaults in. You can just go up here and pick and do a save as a template. Save as template. And what that does, that'll save out a template file. When you start a new Rhino session, it'll come up with that dialog. You may be aware of it if you run Rhino. It asks you what template file you want to use. You can create your own template file with your post and everything set in it. Also, let's go back into the CAM preferences again. Let's look at post processor. If another thing that can happen, your program may lose which it file extension your post G-code files should be in. By default, the posted file extension is .nc. We have a number of different file extensions, or you could create a new one and add it to this list, and you set that to the extension that you need to use. And again, whenever you save your premises to your registry, all this information is going to be saved to your Windows registry the next time you run the product. You got other preferences here relating to post-processing. Which application you want to use when you look at your G-code, but automatically. How you want to set your naming conventions. This option right here, if you see that you have a flag on your G-code icon and you're wondering what that is, and you're worried, well, okay, what does that mean? Is my G-code okay or is it not okay? All that means is that in your CAM preferences, post-processing, it means that this is unchecked. Always post-process G-code during toolpath generation. This is an option that we added to allow you to automatically generate your toolpaths whenever you automatically post-process your toolpath whenever you generate an operation. And if you have this on, click OK and you regenerate that, it should get rid of that flag. Other post-processing.
I want to discuss the location of custom posts. If you want to bring up the post dialog, yeah. So you see the folder for to load post processors file from. That's an important folder by default. What it normally points to the installation folder where we have a whole bunch of posts. So you don't need to show that down.
Okay.
Just show the drop down. Drop down on that current post processor. If you show the current drop down.
Okay, right here you mean?
The drop, yeah. So if you see, there's a whole bunch of post processors here. Typically, most of our customers use one post. I mean, that seems to be the typical situation. So if you don't want to see all a list of this, what we would suggest is create a separate folder for your posts and then stick the post processor you're using into that folder. That way, if you get a newer version and you're installing the newer version, it's not going to override any changes you made to that post. You will always have that. And then even when you upgrade to the next version, you can still point to that. If in the install process you tell the installation program to actually import the settings from your previous version. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, because we do run into that all the time, because we do make some edits for people for post-processing and they stick it into the same folder, and then when they get a newer version, it overwrites it if the name of the post-processor is the same. So what we would suggest is to create a separate folder for any of your custom posts, or even if you don't want to change it and if you don't want to look at all these posts in the folder, that's what we would recommend you do that. So
yeah, if you save your post to another folder, you can use this button right here to tell it where to go to find your post. Okay. Sometimes we just tell you to put it on your desktop, since that's real easy to find. Or if you're on a network and you have a lot of seats and you may want to put your posts on a network drive, I guess that would work fine. But just put it in a place where you know where it's at, so it'll always point to that location. Okay. You want to continue, Joe? You got anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, the only thing I would also add is we do have the Python post processors. We talked about that in the previous webinars, but that's another good enhancement we introduced in 2023, and we are seeing a lot of uses for it. So if you need any specialized posts, we can handle those issues these days pretty easily. So let us know. That's all I have on the post.
Okay. Okay. So as I mentioned previously, we have dedicated webinars for post-processing, a dedicated webinar for performance. So I will link those in the description when you get the webinar video. Go to those links and you can watch the other videos. It tells you a lot more than what